My brother, how are you doing today?
I am fucking tired, dude. I have, been moving for the last 3-ish days, and I think I went about it the right way with doing like smaller increments on 3 different days, and also hiring movers for the big shit.
Yeah, no, hiring movers with the big shit is
The move, yeah.
it is always the move, man.
It's hard to like for a bodybuilder. It's like one bad lifting of a couch and your back is fucked for the next week, and then you can't train back or legs properly for the next 10 days.
It is simply not worth it. It's simply not, especially like I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Like I'm not remotely going to risk possibly like hurting myself and interfering with my gym progress for any reason.
Especially if there's stairs too, and like thankfully this apartment is on the first floor, but at my old apartment it was on it was like the first floor, but you had to go upstairs to the first floor and then downstairs to like the basement floor.
Yeah.
So and honestly, those guys made it look so fucking easy.
Yeah, they do.
Banged it out. They had everything packed up in the truck in like an hour, a little over an hour, and then everything put in here in an hour, and then like the 20 minutes spent driving between the places. So yeah, it's fucking breeze. I love this place. It is extremely spacious.
I love that, man.
Yeah, dude, it's sweet. And I get the pool, so like
are you in the same community or a different community?
It's a different community. So it's like it's only 3.5 miles away from my old apartment. But it's way nicer. It's my favorite thing that I didn't even realize, and everyone who knows these apartments knew it, but I didn't even think about it. There is a ShopRite doesn't share the parking lot with me, but shares the parking lot with the leasing company, like the lease building, the clubhouse, and that ShopRite has, I like went through there, everything, like fucking anything you could think of protein wise, like chicken sausages that have like 2 grams of fat. They had I got ground chicken to have that was $3.87 for a pound because it was double grounded. They re-ground it up, but it's still only chicken breast. So I was like, I'll cook that today. Fucking make my chicken's worth for 2 days, and perfect. So it's
man. No, that's always like fun / stressful, right? Like moving is up there. I think it's like death of a spouse, divorce, losing a job, and then I think moving is like the 4th most stressful event that you could go through. But it's never fun, dude. I hate moving. When I move out of this apartment, being on the fucking 9th floor, I'm taking nothing with me, bro. I'm throwing everything out. Then the next guy can have everything. I don't give a fuck.
It sucks, and thankfully, when you're upgrading, you have something to look forward to, which does help. And honestly, when it came to my meals, I haven't stepped on the scale because I know I'm flatter, but I've hit every meal. I've just been burning calories from
you're moving way more.
Fucking boxing, and like having to go to like Lowe's and Walmart and walk up and down the aisles and shit. Like my step count on Saturday, I think, was like 18,000. So yeah, because we had to go. I had to go back to stores that I forgot shit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I honestly have become so lazy recently that I have not left my house to go to a store for anything.
Instacart.
Everything. Like ready. I Instacarted stuff like 30 minutes ago because I knew I had the live and I had to cook plenty of chicken and beef and rice for my trip tomorrow. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I don't think we're doing this tomorrow. I don't leave till like 5 p.m. tomorrow. But I was like, no, I'm going to take care of it all tonight. And I don't feel like going to going there and coming back. And especially I'm right off Route 1 too. Yeah. So me going on Route 1 after 5 p.m. between 5 and 9 is miserable. I don't feel like fucking dealing with that. So someone else can do it for me.
Yeah, I think people who like there's Instacart for people who genuinely have the time to go and actually get their groceries, and that's just lazy. But then there's the people who do it because they're trying to make money with their time, and their time is valuable, you know. And not to say like as I don't mean that in a flex at all, but it's literally like,
but yeah, no, like if you work from your desk, every moment away from your desk is a time you can't monetize, right? Or you're not helping a client or anything like that directly reflects your business. So in reality, yeah, like stepping away from my desk for an hour and a half that does not help me in any way, shape, or form is not the most advantageous thing for me. That's how I justify the little bit of a markup. It's strictly that. And I was like, what would I pay myself per hour? Okay, that time I'm not paying the Instacart guy this per hour to go do it. So this makes way more sense for him to do it than me actually leave my desk and go do it. Granted, like I'm sure extra steps would be good for me, but like I'll just walk more in the morning. Fuck it.
Yep, exactly. No, it saves us time, and especially for bodybuilders, like our food is so important to us that like, and especially like even for me, I honestly feel like I use it more in the off season because I'm going through so much food that I realize I run out of something, and I'm like, fuck, I might as well get a bunch of shit and get it all now. And I need
because in prep, I want to leave the house. I want to get out of the house for a little bit, and like you know what, like because if I'm not home, I'm not tempted to eat or don't want to eat, right?
Yeah.
But if I can walk around the store or do something else or just make myself busy, I'm not consciously thinking of food the whole time.
Yes.
Like I was telling someone else the other day, the only reason why I get so many pedicures in prep is number one, my feet get gross from all the cardio. But number two is an hour of my day where I don't have food around me. That's what it is, really. It's like, fuck, I'm hungry. Hey, let me go get a pedicure real quick. I don't have a kitchen there. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have the convenience because me and you live in like pretty, I won't say but they are congested, but that's not the right word. Like pretty high traffic areas, densely populated. Versus like someone who's in upstate New York who has to fucking, you know, there's no Instacart there. So I'd honestly prefer a pickup option for that is, so I know ShopRite has it, but like sometimes it's like, are they gonna pick the right things? That's the only where I get with Instacart and like pick up.
Have you used Instacart before?
Who? Are you saying that to Jason?
No, you.
Oh yeah, I use Instacart not too much. I'll use Instacart when I need like realize I'm out of shit and I need to order it and I have shit to do. That's what I'll do.
What I normally try to do is give them like one or two backup options if that's a thing.
Yeah.
And if not, I just completely just say fuck it. Like refund me the item if it's not available, because there's so many times that like I don't want them to use their own brain, because like there's been a time before where I didn't put anything down, and like they instead of getting 93.7, they got like 85.15, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna throw this in the garbage now.
Yeah. Like
I just told Instacart, and they're like, all right, cool. Like we gave you credit for it. You can keep it still. I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'll give it to the neighbor or something. But yeah, man. But dude, we did get a few questions, so let's dive into those bad boys. So the first one I got was, what is the best way to work up to your top set? I know I have a way that I kind of go about this, but do you want to go first, Jack?
Yeah, and I'm sure ours probably have some similarities. But so my first two exercises are usually my most important strength identifiers. So I try and think about it methodically. I will look at my lot. So if I'm going for my top set today, let's say chest, for example, I will look at the movement that I did first last week and then look at the weight and reps I did for that movement. Let's say it's easier if I throw out numbers. So let's say it was 400 pounds. I know I need to either do more reps of 400 pounds than I did last week, or I need to beat 400 pounds. So I don't want to fatigue myself. So typically how I do it is I would maybe do 100 pounds for 15-ish reps, controlled, getting the stretch, warming up. And this is after mobility work, not including that. Something that's higher reps, but very low weight, so I can get a feel for the movement. Then I'll start progressing up to the weight. So Maybe I'll throw 2 plates, or go up to 200, or maybe I'll go up to 250 and then 300. And when I'm doing that, I'm only doing like 3 or 4 reps just to get a feel for the movement. And then when I get relatively close to my top set, let's say 350 I do for 3 or 4 reps. Now I'll look at my logbook again, put on 400. And if I got 10 reps last week, I'm going for 11. And if I can get 12, I'm going to fucking do 12. So that's how I do it. It's hard for me to say this X amount of warm up sets to the movement, because every movement is different in terms of the weight.
Like a lat pull down movement, I am not feeding up to the same way I would do a incline press movement, right? Like the risk of injury is much, much lower with like a single arm lat pull down or a T-bar row compared to a top set on an incline Smith press. And you went about this pretty much the same exact way I do. And I'll do the same thing. I'll throw some numbers out there. So like my top set recently for incline Smith has been 335. So I've been getting that for about 8 reps. So like my warm-up process is very identical to yours. I normally put a quarter on there because Monica does a quarter for her first set. So I just do a quarter for my first set, do like 10 or 15 reps, just like you mentioned. Then I normally just throw a 45 on top of that. So it's 185, I guess. Do that for another like 5 to 8 reps, just really squeezing. Then I normally jump up to like 75% of what my top set is. Yeah. So like that in that situation, which I think is like 265, I think it is. So I do take 265 for like 3 to 4. And if those felt great, I was able to be very controlled and very explosive on the concentric. I have no doubts in my mind that I'll be able to handle last week's top set this week. And I just jump right to that weight. But again, like you mentioned, this is all after mobility work. And mobility work for me takes about 15 to 20 minutes every single day. So I have 15, 20 minutes of mobility warm-up work. Then I have my 2 or 3 sets feeding up to my actual top set, and then my 1 or 2 working sets following those sets. So that's how I build up to that.
I got a question for you about mobility work because I feel like it may help somebody. When you do your mobility work, do you do a different routine for your leg days versus your upper body days?
Yeah, absolutely. On my upper body days, I really do not touch my legs too much. Maybe it's a little bit just for like some basic stiffness, especially because like I started prep, so now I'm on the Stairmaster regularly. So just to like some basic like quad work, just so my quad tendon doesn't get too tight, and it's always an issue I run across is just from being on the stairs repeatedly. My psoas and my quad tendons get extremely bound up. So little lacrosse ball work on my quads every single day. But my upper body day, like my pressing days especially, I'm working on a lot of shoulder mobility, shoulder health stuff, working on stability with my serratus especially. And then doing some like especially like shoulder / trap work. So normally doing some myofascial release when it comes to my traps, my pecs. Then I'm doing some type of like shoulder dislocation based movement. Then doing something for activation and stability, like some type of external rotation. And then maybe something like a push-up plus or like a banded pull down to really activate my serratus. And then I feel like everything's kind of primed then. Compared to my leg days, I'm focusing a lot on like hip mobility, focusing a lot on like on some like actual like dynamic movements, like walking lunges and things like that, just so I can feel comfortable before I actually kind of go into some actual like loaded work, right?
Yep. This is a good question. I'm trying to think about the question.
Sets this week's first set. Unfold problems, growing muscle.
So I'm trying to think about this logically, right?
I guess my question is, and maybe you have the answer to this, Jack, is his second set heavier than his first set?
Yes. I think it is programmed like that, and I could check.
Yeah, because I guess my only question with that would be like, are you purposely holding back on the first set?
And this is a good question to go into, like when you see a program and we have numbers in there, how a coach wants you to go about it, right? So when I say like first set is 12 reps and then the second set is 8 reps, I want you to do a weight that you feel like you can get 12 reps around or at failure on. And then that should be beating the weight from last week. The other thing I do in some of the programming too is put 10 to 12 reps, because I feel that some people fall within that range and I don't want them to be set on a specific number. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want you being like 12 is the number and I stop there. And that's why programming can be, it's very difficult if you're not asking questions about your program, right? Because the interpretation of what's written down on paper may not always be how it comes across.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's important to ask the questions to make sure, because I could see people being like, okay, 10 to 12, like this has happened. 10 to 12, let me just aim for that rep range and not think about working set and top set, right?
It's funny that you say that. That is honestly the reason why I stopped writing rep ranges a few years ago.
Yeah.
Was because for the people who have not been in the game long enough, they are so used to stopping at a number. And I understand it's a mental target, and like targets help people. But that's why I normally just on the onboarding phone call, I'm like, hey, here's kind of the ranges I want a top set to be. Here's kind of the ranges of a working set. If you can do more, fucking do more. Just adjust the weight appropriately the following week. Because, like, especially with my lifestyle people, like, they're like, oh, yeah, I just did 10. Well, like, why'd you stop at 10? Well, that's what the program says. Like, I understand that's what it says, but your goal is to keep beating the program. So, fuck the numbers. Fuck them completely.
It's weird, right? Because in comparison, it's different. It's entirely different than diet, like the diet portion.
Yeah.
Because you remember when I texted you this week about a client that was like, I got full, so I just stopped eating. And it's kind of like it's two opposites. Whereas like I want you to kind of push to your limit no matter what when it comes to training to hit to beat your top set and go to failure. Versus diet, I need you like to a T. That needs to be the same. But I think training, a more experienced lifter tends to neglect how confusing starting programming can be and understanding these concepts, because it's not easy. It's not easy to understand what failure is, what muscular failure is. And one of my clients actually sent me a good video, and it was like someone describing what fatigue versus failure is. And it was like, if I take a dumbbell and I'm trying to remember this correctly. Say I'm doing dumbbell curls, and I take a 30-pound dumbbell and I do let's say a 5-pound dumbbell, and I do 50 reps of that. I'm going to get fatigued before the muscle fails, right?
Yeah.
The lactic acid buildup. I'm going to feel tired. My cardiovascular system's going to give out. The muscle isn't actually failing, which is why we have.
And the perception of effort, that is the big thing too.
Yes.
Overall perception of effort is much higher.
Yep. And like, if you can take a 5-pound dumbbell, do 50 reps, put it on the ground, and then 10 seconds later, you can pick it up and keep going, you haven't hit failure. Failure would be you did a 30-pound dumbbell, did all the reps, you go to pick it up, and 10 seconds later, and you can hardly do 1 or 2 reps because you've generated muscular. I'm going to say fatigue here, but it's a little bit different. It was a good way to represent it, and not perfect, obviously. I want to clarify that. That's not a perfect way to understand failure versus fatigue, but it's a good way to making someone understand that doing more isn't always helping you build muscle. It's strategic. It's programmed in a way to help you build muscle.
And honestly, I think this kind of goes really well into, honestly, the next question. The next question is SUPs or things to add in when muscle growth is outrunning connective tissue. And I think more so out of SUPs and things to add in, training philosophies and ideologies are honestly the bigger change that I normally run into. And I know you've done this and I have done this, is when you're going through periods of blocks where you're really crushing the book repeatedly week over week. And now you're starting to get some of these nagging pains in your elbows, your wrists, your shoulders, and connective tissue in other areas, just because you're getting so strong so fast. That normally sometimes the best solution is simply just to dial back the load slightly and focus on progressing with reps more than wait for a while. And this is where the science-based community really falls apart, because most of them are not simply strong enough to get to a situation where injury risk is truly possible. And I remember one of Garrett's old videos saying that he does like I think it was him doing deficit RDLs with like 495, and he was doing like sets of 12 or some shit like that. And they were like, "Oh, you should really only do 6 reps." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't feel like ripping 600 pounds off the floor from a deficit. That seems like a much higher risk to award than me just aiming for 12 reps here." And that's the kind of the minds that we kind of have to approach sometimes when we're having so much progress in the terms of strength, that, hey, maybe now it's time to really just dial back the load slightly and just focus on us beating reps. And maybe as a byproduct of that, you even slow things down a little bit more. You add a tempo in, you add a pause, things like this, just so the work is even harder without requiring more load. That's still technically a version of progressive overload.
Yeah. You have to drop the ego of moving weight, because we are trying to build muscle. And in order to build muscle, we can't be injured. An injury will make us not build muscle for a good period of time. And that's why we're bodybuilders. We're not trying to move. The goal, and everyone hears it, the goal is not to be a weightlifter, it's to be a bodybuilder. And you said it, and I was going to make that comment, is like one of the things I personally like to do to make things harder is have a much slower eccentric. Yeah. And I usually can use a lot less weight, especially for something like legs or chest that I'm typically a lot stronger at. That is where that slowing of the tempo makes poor Allie makes a difference. So Allie slipped on ice when we got that snowstorm.
Oh, fuck.
Broke her ulna, which is like,
yep.
So, but she's hitting legs now. She's figure, but I have her basically doing wellness programming for fucking 6 weeks, and she's killing it. So,
Allie, if it makes you feel any better, that's why my leg is so big. I've had so many shoulder and bicep injuries. Every time I've been hurt, legs 3 times a week. So it's only going to help you.
Yeah. So, but to my point of, that is my favorite thing to do to increase the intensity, is add a eccentric. The other thing you can do is like supersets and drop sets, but sometimes those can actually pose more injury risk depending on how they are executed. Yeah. Doing them correctly, you should be okay. But like, I think the problem with supersets and drop sets, sometimes more specifically drop sets, is we start to lose form as we try and bang out extra reps, which is good. But if we're nursing an injury, we want to be a little more cautious and approaching it from a little safer perspective.
And like I would love to say that like BPC and TB500 can help with this, but like they don't make us indestructible. They simply don't.
And go ahead.
I think you're running BPC and TB500, right? I've been running BPC and TB500 my whole off season too, and it has not stopped those aches and pains from coming up. Honestly, maybe it just prevented them from taking as long to come up, and maybe they're not as bad because of that, but it simply doesn't make us indestructible. It's a nice tool, but we're still going to build muscle much faster. Especially Tyler went and got a DEXA scan done the other day, and he put on something like I think it was like 12 pounds of tissue in like 5 months.
Yeah.
From the stuff that he's doing over there. So like, yeah, man, like when you're putting on like slabs of tissue like that, because like that's almost a whole year, it's a whole year of tissue in half a year. If you're doing stuff like that, man, you're going to have to go through points where you kind of throttle it back a little bit. So you don't have an injury that sets you back far enough that you kind of undid all the progress you made.
It's fun. It's like my chest is the body part that I get incredibly strong.
Yeah, 11 pounds of skeletal muscle mass, 31 pounds total.
Yeah, that's wild. And then just a short period of time.
Just cranking up the GH with him and throwing insulin in his program with the basal and the fast acting.
That'll fucking do it. Yeah, that's fucking sweet. Oh, what the fuck was I gonna say? God damn. Oh, chest. My chest tends to grow the fastest, and get the strongest fastest. But it's also my muscle group that is absolutely the most prone to injury. So, looking back at times when I've injured myself, I'm like, I wish and hindsight is 2020, but
yeah,
times I wish I switched up the modality to which I was training, rather than trying to push more and more strength. But like injury, the shitty part about injuries, right, is that they can happen from perfect form. As much as it sucks, it can happen from perfect form. You can be doing things perfect in a higher rep range and still get injured. But if we can reduce the risk, we're always going to try to, especially when we feel something actively nagging us.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Every single time you get hurt, you kind of go through, what could I have done differently this time? Or like was this preventable, or was just something that just happened from like the nature of the game? So this actually transitions pretty well into the next question I had was, how long should your rest sets be between each set? And I think this is very person dependent as well as very exercise dependent as well. Because the rest period of time I have between bicep curls and hack squat are drastically fucking different. And like the rule of thumb I kind of like to use is however long time you kind of need until your heart rate kind of comes down to whatever your resting heart rate in the gym is. Not your resting heart rate at home, because I don't expect your heart rate to go back down to 65 or 70 in between sets, especially if you crushed pre-workout on the way to the gym and you already have been pretty active. Well, let's just say your heart rate's shooting up to like 135 every single set. Maybe wait until your heart rate comes back down to 100. Wait until you can catch your breath and breathe effectively. You're not panting still on the bench. So normally for a lot of things, this takes about like 2 to 3 minutes for a big major movement like a hack squat. Well, for a bicep curl, you're probably not getting that winded. Your heart rate's probably not shooting up as high. So maybe that only takes 60 to 90 seconds. That's kind of how I kind of approach it. But Jack, I'd love to hear your feedback too.
Yeah, no, exactly the same. But I was going to make the comment that, and it kind of does tie into what we were just talking about, a form of progressive overload is shortening your rest periods. So if you are doing more weight in a shorter period or the same weight in a shorter period of time, that is a form of progressive overload. You are progressing and making jumps with changing one variable. But I do think that's a tough one to gauge if you are not giving yourself enough time, like you said, to get your heart rate back to base. I'll say baseline, not your resting heart rate, but baseline. Like you walking, I think a good way is like you walking around the gym, and like when you're walking into the gym, like that's kind of your baseline heart rate. Maybe a couple beats higher. It's probably not going to come right back to that. But same thing, like hack squats. Sometimes I'm sitting there especially when I'm in a heavier off season.
Yeah,
I'm there for like 3.5 minutes because I want to give my all to that set. Like, I don't want to lose a rep because I can't breathe. Like that's not, and that goes back to muscular versus fatigue. Like,
absolutely,
fatiguing from cardiovascular before I'm hitting muscular failure, and that's also why we try and keep up with our cardiovascular health.
Absolutely. And this is why like I get so anal with people when I can see that they have more reps in the tank and they simply never took a second to catch their breath.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have people who kind of will lift like a piston and be like poof, poof, proof,
Yeah.
which is totally okay. But if those reps don't slow down and you just stop because the perception of effort was too high, and I didn't see you pause for a second and take a deep inhale, chances are you have a bunch more reps in the tank and you feel so fatigued because simply you've been holding your breath half your set. Like, yeah, this is an anaerobic activity, but dude, you breathing is simply fucking essential for this to work. Especially like, dude, like some of my sets last 2 minutes long, right? So like if I'm having a 2 minute long set, yeah, I gotta fucking breathe through that, man. Like abso-fucking-lutely. And you're only going to shoot yourself in the foot by holding your breath the whole entire time. Yeah, you should hold your breath to brace, take a deep inhale, and act like someone's going to punch you in your stomach. But on the way up, you exhale and repeat the whole process over and over and over again with every single rep. And if you're not doing that, you're obviously going to shoot yourself in the foot because you're going to make yourself more winded than you have to be.
And that was something like breathing technique is something that I had to work on. And I still sometimes find myself doing it. Like when I'm trying to push a really heavy set, I find myself doing more heavy hold breaths for bracing. Yes. Whereas what helps me get, especially if you're doing a higher rep set, like sometimes I'll take 2 breaths throughout, like I'll be like, I'm trying to even think about it. Like if I'm doing I feel like a hack squat is just a good example because it's I will do a brace exhale before I go down, but sometimes I come up and I breathe in, stay at the top, breathe in, then do the next rep. As long as you're not using the rest at the top of the exercise to
actually rest.
Like I'm doing that purely to get my air so I can go to failure. I'm not doing it to rest my leg. Like if I could reduce that, I would love to.
There shouldn't be 8 singles. There should be a set of 8. We can't break it up into every single time you get to the top, you rest for 5 to 6 seconds. It's not how this should work. This should be on the top and then back down and then repeat the whole process repeatedly.
Yep. Completely.
I think that's where like the big disconnect with some people is they try to do that, but they stand at the top for way too long. And yeah, man, you're literally making the set not what it should be whatsoever.
You shouldn't be at the top like if you're taking like 5, 6, 7 breaths, like you need to be hitting the next rep, or you need to improve your cardiovascular shape.
Yeah,
like that's it could be a warning sign that you're not in great cardiovascular shape, which I'll be the first one to admit I've had that before, where I'm sitting there and I know that I'm failing from cardiovascular, and I'm like, fuck, I need to make sure that my cardiovascular health needs to be better.
Absolutely, man. And it's something that like the one thing that I'm really happy about bodybuilding expanding is that like we have a lot more people who now focus on cardio year round. I'm happy that the mindset is totally gone with saying, oh, no cardio in the off season, it kills gains. I'm happy that that whole mindset is completely done now.
Yeah, me too. It's and a lot of it was just like from dirty bulk. Like the dirty bulking used to be more like common, more
it was much more accepted.
And they would take like a video of fucking Lee Priest or whatever.
I made a video today about this because like there's this one guy who I get on my feed every fucking day.
Yeah.
Of him talking about how he's 285 pounds. Have you seen this fucking guy?
I don't think so.
Hold on, I gotta pull this up to you.
I have honestly, with the move, I was on a pretty big social media hiatus besides like reposting my clients' shit. Because I think you understand that in a sense of sometimes like we use Instagram, and this is a good topic too. We use it as a business tool a lot of majority, so like we need to be using it frequently in terms of our business and our reach and our supporting our clients. But when we're really fucking busy in our lives, like I'm going on there simply to get my clients' stuff out there and then leaving the app because I got shit to do. But not every day is like that. But it was a nice little.
No, absolutely. I sometimes wish that I could like just get away from social media, but it's literally where all my business comes from. So it'd be super hard for me to eliminate it. And I remember explaining this to Monica's cousin when I was in Buffalo the other day. He owns a tattoo shop. He was like, it must be like stressful being stuck to your phone all day. I was like, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Yep.
And I was like, I get anxiety when I open WhatsApp and I see the notifications. I'm like, someone waited 30 minutes.
Dude, when I was moving, I did half the check-ins to like 11 o'clock because I had my dad come and help me and did like shit for the rest of the day. And the entire time I'm like, oh, an hour's go, like another hour went by. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be late for responses. Fuck, even though we set the rule that like we will respond by the end of the day. Like
I feel guilty. I feel fucking guilty. But you know what? Also, it just simply means that like we care a lot about our people and our athletes and our team, and because like other people wouldn't be anxious about that and shit like that. But like for us, it kind of irks us a little bit. It makes us feel bad. It makes I feel like we're not simply showing up the way that we should for our team. Which, hey, at the end of the day, it's a good thing that we feel that way. It's just the nature of the beast for someone in our line of business, for sure.
It's yeah. As much as it is a shitty feeling, it's a good thing.
Here's the one I wanted to show because I see this guy on my fucking feed every single fucking day. I don't know why. And it's a guy who's like 285 pounds. Hold on, let's.
Because you're putting him as your. I think because you're reeling him, like you're responding to him.
Well, I only made a reel today.
Oh, and now he's.
Why won't you play, bitch?
Oh, do you save his videos?
No, it's the first day, did I? What? Okay, there we go.
His reel is just kind of janked. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, you're 280 pounds, but not a good 280 pounds. Are you hearing the audio on your side?
You can't hear it?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know if you can hear the audio or not. Yeah, no, I have the audio playing over here. But like in reality, man, like if this is 285 pounds, this is like 35% body fat, roughly.
Dude, his heart,
but also if you think about it, if you're 235, here, I did the math real quick.
Yeah.
You're 35% body fat at 285 pounds. You're holding almost 100 pounds of fat.
That's a lot to get off.
That's a lot to get off, but that also possibly means that you peeled would be like 195 pounds.
That's a good point.
You peeled like 195 pounds.
Which, don't get me wrong, is not bad, but it's a whole different look from 280 pounds.
Exactly. So, like, if you're making fun of people who are under 285 pounds, like you're 285 pounds of fat, you actually, I'm tempted if this guy actually fucking responds to me, to pay for him to get a DEXA scan. Because, like, I will put money on this that he actually possesses more fat than skeletal tissue.
It's. And this, like, the organ systems are all connected. Like, your insulin sensitivity gets shot, so your pancreas is fucked. Your heart is fucked from the amount of weight you're carrying, and then your kidney and liver start shitting out from the high blood pressure.
Yeah,
that's putting pressure on the capillaries and the the functioning of the kidneys and rely on good blood pressure. I don't know if people.
And also, like, I was even thinking of this, man. Like, think about like the irreversible damage that can also be kind of happening now, right? Like, he could simply have now obesity-induced gynecomastia, right?
Yeah.
If you do diet down, you may have a tremendous amount of loose skin now. All these things are fully preventable if you simply just didn't dirty bulk for such a long period of time.
Don't be. People are just assholes. You were never that big.
Dude, I will say, bro, like I've heard some pretty weird stuff in my off season, especially like when people are just so used to being lean or seeing you lean. When they see you not lean, they think something's wrong. So, man, I've had that probably, like, especially when I was newer to bodybuilding, like all the time. Oh, are you still doing the whole bodybuilding thing? I'm like, yeah, man. I'm simply just not peeled right now. Not peeled right now.
Yeah,
I'm cultivating mass right now. I'm cultivating mass.
The other thing that worries me about getting super heavy very, very rapidly, and especially if you're using anabolics and you're gaining that much, is left ventricular hypertrophy. Is like,
Yeah.
that's irreversible. Once your heart grow that ventricle grows, you're always more prone to a heart attack. So it's something that a lot of people don't realize until they have a heart attack, is they have left ventricular hypertrophy. Those who don't know what that is, it's your heart has two ventricles and two atriums, and the left ventricle, it pumps. It's the last chamber before pumping blood to the rest of your body. And because when you get so heavy and have high blood pressure, puts a lot of stress on that left ventricle to push blood, so it grows, hypertrophy. That's why it's called that. It grows, and when that gets bigger, you run more and more risk of a heart attack.
Much higher risk. And the other thing, this is also known as athlete's heart too.
Yeah.
For those who some people develop from sports when they're younger, from like things like football or things that like require you to get larger, but also require you to be very cardiovascularly active. But I just saw your comment, Jay. So from watching the clip of sending, that's something you need to work on. I'm assuming regarding the tempo and the eccentric, and absolutely not. You lift with a very slow tempo.
Usually, the people who are concerned about it,
it's never that.
Are tempoing.
Yeah, no, and like I always appreciate you asking for feedback, brother. Always. Let's be very clear about that. But you are definitely one of the people who I do not worry about when it comes to training. And you're someone, I know you don't send clips in extremely often, but odds are if I'm not busting your balls about sending clips in, it's probably because I trust you. That's normally how this works. If I'm not busting your balls, it's because I trust you.
My best lifters, I feel so bad when I get training footage. I'm like, perfect. This I literally can't tell you to do this better, because those client, I know they're training well, and it's the one. There's ones who are they know they're not training with good form, and it's almost like they're embarrassed to send you the footage.
Yes.
Or they don't want to. The other problem with training footage, which I understand, is not wanting to pull out a tripod or film in the gym, which I kind of get. It's you just gotta not give a fuck what people think. That's
kind of how I look at it too. Like, if anyone's gonna bust your balls about you filming content and then sending to your coach, like, simply fuck with people, right? And it's simply that. And like, you just have to unapologetically not give a single fuck about anything,
and just get huge, so that when you do it, people are like, oh, the huge guy or girl is filming, the super muscular person is just filming their set to get them more muscular. Because that's what I think when I see that.
No, absolutely, dude. And it's funny because like there's so many people who I befriended at my gym because they've seen me film something, and they'll walk up and ask me a question afterwards. I'm like, hey, like I don't do that, or why do you do that, or hey, like, why are you filming this for like another reason? Like people normally see me take my phone down, I'm looking at it, I'm watching the set, and then I'm adjusting the weight or something according to my set. And I always tell people it's watching game day footage right there. That's what you're doing, and you're pivoting the plan based on how things move. And that's when you really know how to be interactive. And I don't want to use the word intuitive; they fucking hate that word. But intuitively, possibly pivot the plan if needed, if things are not performing up to the expectation that you already have set. And there's been times that I know you've probably have pivoted workouts, and I have pivoted workouts because the top set did not move the way it was fucking supposed to. So I'm going to pivot the rest of my sets accordingly to make sure I can still get the most out of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you notice something you were doing that you didn't even feel.
Yeah.
You could be like, that's an injury risk. Like for one, a lot of, now I'm much better at it, but for a while when I was doing like leg press, I would notice how much I was rounding my lower back at the bottom to make up for my lack of hip mobility.
Yep.
And the solution was I need to fix my hip mobility.
Yes.
That's the problem. Not going deeper is causing a whole nother issue.
Yes.
And then when you look at that, sometimes, and that's a big one too, is like legs are a hard movement to gauge your depth on, especially if you don't have mirrors.
Yes.
So being able to film and see your actual depth is awesome. And I've learned from just myself, I always get better hip mobility as I go throughout a set, and I would only know that if by watching the training footage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's almost like the set kind of stretches you out and helps you get deeper into the hole and things like that. That's where like loaded stretching can be very advantageous to kind of start off a day with, just kind of helping you assist with stretching. That's why I love getting on the hip adductor first on leg days and really just loading that up into sitting in the stretch position and allowing that to really kind of tear me open. So when I do go into other movements, I feel very mobile. Yeah. But that was a great point, man, that you simply just can't go deeper. You have to actually fix the problem. So like that's the hard thing sometimes when you give feedback to people, it's not simply just get deeper or I want more knee mobility or I want better I want more knee flexion or anything like that. It normally causes you have to have a bunch of other things that come into place to allow those things to happen. I need to work on my ankle flexion. I need to work on my quad mobility. I need to work on my glutes. All these other things that will actually lead to me getting deeper in these movements, simply just getting there, right? Because sometimes if you simply just get there, your risk is getting higher if you can't engage with your skeletal tissue while doing it, right? By simply allowing the weight just to force you there is not what we want.
Yeah, exactly. And it can seeing that can allow you to fix problems that you may have never known existed beforehand. And it's funny because a lot of this applies mostly to legs, I think, because it's one of the most common movements that gets or the muscle group that gets improperly done because it's uncomfortable.
Dude, it's funny. I have this client. It's actually Dad Bod Joey's wife. And the gym she trains at has a whole row of leg presses. And she's doing transformation for Summer Shred this year. Mm-hmm. And she has mastered getting perfect form when it comes to leg press. Like, I mean, hamstring to calf, like knee, like 5 inches over toe. Like, I mean, amazing ankle mobility. And every week I take a screenshot of her and I zoom in on it. And I show her the person behind them is only moving half the weight at half the depth.
Yep.
And it's one of those things that many people simply believe that getting to 90 is enough or a little less than 90 is okay. And it'd be the equivalent of stopping a bicep curl here every single time if people don't realize that. And everyone has the ability to develop okay legs. Not everyone's going to have crazy quad sweeps and things like that, but most people bitch that they don't have decent legs because they simply don't have the mindset to get extremely uncomfortable every single fucking week.
And the top
and the ego too.
Yeah, and the top of your quads are just never going to be in that stretch position if you're not going to full depth. And you can't go and say, well, I do quad extensions and I use that. Like that, it's not the same. It's not. As much as it may make sense, as someone who used to do that and had small legs and then completely changed to full knee flexion, legs got much better and with a lot less weight.
Yeah. And like it's the same. Like when I was younger, my 20s, I would do sets of like 8 to 10 with 4 or 5 from barbell, and I would just stop at 90 degrees, right? That's all I would do. And now I move a fraction of the weight, and it's absolutely as deep as I can literally go because I run out of actual range. And I'm using, again, much less weight, and my quads look much better than they've ever had in my whole entire life. And every single client who I forced to do this had the same exact result. Bigger, rounder fucking legs.
It is the same. I said it earlier. It's the acceptance of dropping the ego of like, people need to see how much weight I lift so they know I'm strong. Yeah. You need to be able to not care about that if you want to develop the best physique possible. I think that's why people move a lot of weight. It's not even for them, because if their goal is to look better, I feel like they know that it's not ideal, but they want to have the perception that they're strong. So therefore, I'm going to still put a ton of weight on and do not great form because I need to be seen as strong.
No, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of us did that when we were younger because we were actually smaller, right? Yep. We didn't actually have something to quote unquote flex. And now that we do, we don't really give a fuck about that. But you kind of have to beat that mindset first, right? You have to kind of ditch the ego, and that as a byproduct will allow you to get much bigger, much faster, and have much more effective training. And that's why, like, I don't really love people like focusing on these very low rep schemes because they don't have the technique down.
Yep.
They didn't master the form yet. There's a skill gap. So them trying to do these low rep schemes of 5 and 6, a lot of them have this terrible form and technique along the whole entire way. And that's not going to lead to anything besides just injury. Yeah, you may get stronger with shitty form, but stronger with shitty form is not going to mean a better physique.
Yeah, and the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid who's willing to learn that at a young age has so much more time and resources to blow the fuck up.
Dude, absolutely. I can't. So Walt reached out to me a few weeks ago. He wants to compete again this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, are we doing teen again? He was like, yeah. And I was like, we mobbed all the teens last year. We're doing this again. He was like, absolutely. And for the whole entire year, he's been training the same exact way that I had him training, plus some other heavy powerlifting shit in there. And like the one thing that like I will always like say to my younger competitors is the fact that you hired someone to master the basics at such an early age will put you on a trajectory to blow past everyone who's been just doing things a certain way because someone told them to fucking do it or they saw someone online do it, compared to actually having things catered to your specific goal.
It's so hard with, I think this is where it becomes very helpful is you can be someone who wants to learn, but right now with how the internet is, yes, there's so many resources out there, but there's almost too much. You're like trying to find one seashell in the ocean. Like, yeah, there's so much shit you have to go dig through. Whereas if you can get someone who is, and I don't mean this as a plug for coaching, but I genuinely mean it. If you can learn these tools at a young age, which I think more and more kids are, which is why we see better and better younger physiques.
Yeah.
You end up blowing everybody else out of the water when you can have that knowledge given you at a very young age. And it's almost worth the investment. Yeah.
In reality, like if me and you could make a time machine and go back, we would bestow all the same things that we are doing now to the younger version of ourselves. Because we are fully aware that if we knew what we knew now at 16 years old, our trajectory would have been drastically different.
And dude, to be able to have the access to a coach we have now versus when we were in
high
school, dude, I remember you saying like we would have had to email.
You had to email someone, and when I first started, social media didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So like, where did you even find a coach? Like, I hired a guy who used to bodybuild from Retro Fitness. That was like the very first person that ever helped me with a show. And like, there was no like real communication. He was like, "Oh yeah, you look good. All right, cool. Like, keep doing what you're doing." And that was kind of it. It wasn't like actually how check-ins are done today. It was, I saw him at the gym once a week when he was working. I posed in the bathroom for like 10 seconds and he was like, "All right, cool. You're fat still. Go do more cardio." And that was kind of it. Compared to like what we have now. And like, even going back to that, like even just like all the bro logic that has been myth busted over the past several years has put everyone on a much more drastic route too.
Yeah. I completely, it is a much better time to get into bodybuilding and be successful at a younger age than it was several years ago. Like it's a part of the reason why you and I had to learn through several efforts of trial and error, of experimentation. And sure, it was fun, but it had its problems. I was just talking to someone at the gym today about how I would hate to see my blood work when I was doing test and D-ball and dirty bulking with my ice cream shakes and McDonald's. Like my HDL was or my LDL was probably like concerningly fucked.
I'm sure. I'm absolutely fucking sure.
Yeah. My blood pressure was.
The things that had to be accomplished to get to where we're at now, for sure. And simply just having someone guide you through that eliminates the need for those things. It simply does. I actually had one more question. I thought this was a really good one too, because this is not one we've had before. Actually, I think you actually had someone ask something very similar the other week. What do you do if you have an injection site that leaks?
Oh yes.
Didn't your client say he rubbed on his balls, something like that?
Yeah, that was the question. If it absorbed.
I normally tell people one of two things. Maybe possibly use a deeper needle, depending on how big the needle you use. Maybe use like a 1/2-inch needle and you simply need to go deeper. Or maybe you're trying to push too much oil in the same spot repeatedly. Maybe you're not rotating spots enough. So you have a lot more scar tissue in that area. So you may have to move to a new location. That's normally how I kind of approach that bad boy.
Yeah, I actually have I started doing this and it worked because I had that problem. Especially with the larger shots. And one of the things I realize and this is hard to do because a lot of us hate, like, especially if you hate doing injections. I mean, we eventually get used to it, right? But what I like to do is when I finish and see everything is in my body and push through the syringe, I will wait about 2 or 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. I pull it halfway out, and then I hold it again for 1, 2, 3, and then I take the needle out. And I think what that helps is you end up getting clotting between where the fluid is and halfway through that site.
Yeah.
And it allows to block that off because when I do that, I'll get a little blood from just hitting a vein, but I don't get a leak, and it works really well.
No, that surely, again, just not ripping the needle out immediately definitely would help.
Sorry, that comment made me gag.
That's so too bad. I fucking dead.
That's disgusting.
Oh my god.
Put a fucking needle through it.
Dude, it's funny because like anytime I ever have something that seems off, my urge to fucking stab it with a needle and try to drain it is through the roof.
You're like, I know sterilized technique. Let me just fucking drain it myself.
Yeah. And it's funny. I have this client and he has this big mass in his quad and we don't know what it is. And I'll like just stab it. Let's fucking stab it. Let's see what it is. And he stabbed it and tried to drain it. Nothing came out. And he actually went to go get it looked at. And it's actually a piece of his quad that he tore and rolled up and he had no idea. And I was like, shit. You didn't feel that? And he was like, no. And I was like, wow, okay. But it's like, looks like a bubble, like this big. Like it's bigger than water.
We've seen that with hamstrings, but it looks a little more like a hamstring tear when you see that, you know?
Yeah, just a bubble in the front of his leg. And I was like, man, that looks like a fucking hematoma. Fuck, okay.
Yeah.
It's a piece of quad tendon. And it's crazy because it's been over a year now. And it hasn't atrophied. That tendon is still fucking big and rolled up.
Did he take GH?
He does.
I bet you that has something to do with it.
Yeah, possibly, man.
Because if you're increasing collagen synthesis, it might not fucking degrade.
Yeah.
Because if it's getting nutrients from capillaries in that area, it may survive. Yeah. It's kind of like this is more darker, but it's kind of like a cancer cell. If you don't fully remove that area, it can spread, and because it's still getting nutrients to replicate. But yeah, that's fucking crazy.
By the way, have you seen those Russian bodybuilders taking 100 units of growth a day?
I heard about it. I saw some videos. I heard some things. Do you believe it? I mean,
I don't know. I only remotely kind of believe it just because how cheap GH has gotten. So someone could physically do it. But like my only thought process kind of also was like, dude, do you just live on insulin? Like, do you have you're taking like 24 units of Lantus 3 times a day or something? Like, that's my only thought process.
Because because like GH releases glucose into the bloodstream, you would have to, and you're injecting that continuously throughout the day. Like, you would need either you're going diabetic or you need something that's shuttling that insulin
My also thought process too is how are you splitting up 100 units? What are you
was
doing?
also thinking that, because if you think about a slim pin, if you did a full mill, well, nowadays
I'm thinking of if you do, what they may do what I do, right? So for 12 units of GH, I only mix in 50 units of water.
that's how you just change the ratio to get more units per mill.
Yeah, yes, because I don't feel like taking a fucking ton of water injections every single day, so I just use much less water. So that's my thought process. Are they buying like 20 IU vials and only putting like half an ml of water in each one of them, and injecting, I guess, 5 milliliters of water every single day total?
Oh my god, it's not like it's painful. It's just
it's not
annoying. I don't like it. I would hate to have to do that while I work throughout the day. Like,
absolutely. But it's not like not like Andrew Smolov actually has a real job or anything. I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
My other thought process too was like, well, again, going back to like hypertrophy of the ventricles, man.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that taking that dosage for at least a year is not going to lead to some type of organ hypertrophy.
And it's like with IGF. Like whenever someone asks me about IGF, it's just a personal ethical thing, because I'm like, I've read the data, and if you are prone to GH and IGF, because GH converts to IGF anyway, if you're prone to cancer in your family, like especially very prone to cancer, it's probably not a drug you should touch, because not that it will give you cancer, but if you were to have that gene flipped on, it'll drastically expedite the rate of cancer in your body.
Yes.
And that's partially why I only use it like 1 day a week or 2 days a week and in splits.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember like having that thought process because like skin cancer is big in my family and breast cancer. And I was like, well, I don't have boobs, so maybe breast cancer I won't get. And I'm not in the sun like any of my family members, so maybe I'm not going to get those too. So I was willing to roll the dice on those because I was like, all right, everyone in my family has skin cancer also worked outside. So maybe he was just being very fair-skinned and being in the sun. Yes. And I don't have boobs, so I don't think I'm going to get those ones. So I think my risk is pretty low. Even though men can get breast cancer, it was always the women in my family that got breast cancer. So I think I'm in the clear.
And as someone who I won't say who I work for, but people know, someone who works in the oncology business, I don't think cancer will be a problem in 50 years.
I don't think it will be either.
I think it's most types will have a cure through the new technologies that are coming out. And I will have a full argument with anyone who goes and says, well, the government already has the cure for cancer. Because if you don't have a science background, I will argue to death on it, because some person will think that.
No, someone's going to feel like they do. And like, there's some treatments that work a little better than others. That's just simply all we have right now. And some of the treatments that work a little better than others are much more expensive. So not everyone has access to those things. I know, like, I'll give an example. Like, Monica's dad had brain cancer, and he did some experimental trial through Sloan. And they were able to cure it and kill all the cells by doing it.
Not kidding me.
Hey, you can throw anything else out. Like Jim Carrey is not real. You can throw it out there too. I'm okay with it. or Ellen DeGeneres ate the most amount of babies. I'm cool with that.
What rage bait we can get it. But that's so the trial worked, or no?
Yeah, the trial worked. He has to keep going back to see if he's still in remission. But as of now, everything has been completely good. And again, it was just he was able to get in with some experimental trial and able to take an experimental drug, and it absolutely worked. Like obviously there's a risk of going with things like that, but there's always the upside possibility, like that going through that process was better than death.
Yeah, and I'm not legally allowed to say who I work for or what studies I've seen, but the clinical trial results over the last several years, these pharmaceuticals, these drugs are getting so much better at preventing death and increasing lifespan.
Absolutely.
And here's like when you see a study that something causes or reduces cancer, understand that it's most likely a correlation study. And you can literally correlate like killer whale attacks and like the days I don't know. Like you can correlate fucking bullshit. Like, like we've all seen those weird charts of things being weirdly correlated that have nothing to do with one another. But
my favorite one is red meat consumption by the average American and obesity, but they count hot dogs as red meat, and they count Burger King as red meat, and they count hamburgers as red meat, and they count all those fast food items as red meat, and like we wouldn't have counted those, especially because like most of those things from a food grade perspective aren't even classified even high enough to be actually even legally called meat. Like Taco Bell's meat, the beef isn't even legally able to be called meat.
Yeah, and now you're getting more and more of these like meat. Well, you're getting these fake meat products, but I will say, if anyone's curious, look at the stock price over time of Beyond. I think it's Beyond Meat. It's one of those fake.
Yeah, that plummeted the other year and almost went bankrupt.
Yeah, they're doing fucking awful.
Because it's funny, dude, because I used to own a bunch of stock in that when it took off.
Yeah. Everyone thought it was going to be huge. And it kind of wasn't.
My only thought process was this, that vegans are dumb and that they will buy anything that is marketed towards them. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. But if there was going to be a Beyond KFC, vegans would buy it. If there was a Beyond Whopper, people would buy it. And that was my only thought process and that's I sold before I fucking started crashing. I specifically saw all the fast food chains pick it up, and I was like, hey, some fat fuck's going to be at Burger King and going to say, oh, the Impossible Whopper is a healthier option, and they're just going to buy that. And that's going to be a repeated thing that's going to happen. But you just can't change the way things fucking taste. It doesn't taste like beef. It doesn't give you the same mouthfeel as beef. And anyone who has been vegan and has switched to eating red meat will always tell you how good it made them feel after they had it.
And America, whether you love it or you hate it, is capitalism. And it costs more money to research and make meat products that are not meat than taking the cow and using the meat. It is a lot more money of R&D, of laboratory, of manufacturing. Like, there's associated costs with that. And it's a good idea, I guess. Kind of, I don't know. No, I don't agree.
I'm not a fan. Fucking red meat. Eat the fucking beef.
You'll be fine. I get people want more. Some people may be against mass farming, but like, why not fish? Fish aren't conscious. You're Presbyterian.
Yeah, dude. Those phytoestrogen studies with the fish that made them switch genders. Same with the frogs, was pretty fucking alarming. And I remember being at GNC, me telling men this who would come in and buy soy protein, and I'd be like, "Hey, man, like, just so you know, man, like, the soy isoflavones in here, we literally sell in the women's section for women going through menopause to increase their estrogen. Just so you know." But on that note, my meat just got delivered. I had to cook all my food for my trip, and it is 9:10.
All right. Well, wait, can you hear me? You kind of cut out a little bit. Okay, perfect. All right, cool. Well, you go do that. Thanks everyone, as always, for popping on, chatting with us. The usual. We'll be back on maybe Wednesday. We can talk about that if you're going on a trip.
Yeah, Wednesday I will. Tomorrow's. I should be at the Airbnb by Wednesday night. Yeah.
Okay. Just let me know. And
I'll always have to give you access to this because I'll be from my phone.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll post about it if we're doing. We'll post if we aren't having it. I think I'll post something just because people end up asking now. So we.
But you know what I can do?
What?
My Coach Marky V account has access to live. And hold on, ready? I've been debating with Instagram every single day. My Marky V NBC account no longer has restrictions. So let's see if I can do that real quick. 1 second.
The only problem is I think my account is still. Oh, but you can add me.
Yeah, let's see. Hold on.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure my account is still.
Features I can't use. Nope, I still can't go live on this account. But my reels can go to the public now, finally, with that account. But my other one, my Coach Mark EV, I can do live from that account.
Okay, so maybe we'll do that. We can talk about it, and we'll let you guys know. So yeah, but all right, we'll figure out a plan. That's me and Mark's homework. But thanks everyone for joining, and we will talk to you guys later.
All right, peace out, everyone. Thank you so much.